Surface healing versus soul healing. So your level of healing that you do from your trauma, from your life, your current life, it's very instrumental in you moving forward, connecting to your purpose, who you are, what you do. But there is a big difference between healing on just the human level versus the soul level. And that is where you really need to start going into your past lives, your Akashic records, to really get to that next level of actual healing, of growth, of releasing and letting go of like the ancestral and karmic wounds, the curses that you've put on yourself, that others have put on you. And on your especially spiritual journey, when you finally figure out what works for you or what is starting to work for you, and you start really getting into that process of actual healing. I was 39 personally before I actually started to feel relief on my soul, on my mind, on my body, where I could start disconnecting from the trauma, from the pain, from the anxiety. And, it really, it's very powerful, because I had spent 39 years, never really having that relief. Medication, therapy, the traditional human methods of growth and healing and all of those things. And I had given up long ago of actually finding relief or, like happiness, letting go of depression and anxiety, all of those things, because nothing had ever worked. But the reality is you have to really hit that level of being ready to truly process your trauma, your pain. And process means you do have to go through it. You have to understand why it's there, where it's coming from. And when I started Reiki for personal, like physical healing, because I was in physical pain a lot, when I became attuned to Reiki, I had to really start connecting to my body, my mind, my soul, something that I had never done before. And the relief in it was powerful and immense. So the deeper that I went, I learned to meditate. Yes, I have ADHD, I have anxiety, I have panic, I have depression, and I've had them since I was very, very young. 2 or 3 is when I remember starting having panic attacks. So when you start really dedicating yourself to actual healing and growth, it's this powerful place. And the deeper that I went, what I learned was there was a lot of things in my past lives, my Akashic records, that I needed to heal. There was curses, there was cords, there was ancestral and karmic things that I needed to learn to release and let go of. So when you are on your journey, your intuitive journey, you're growing your gifts and abilities, you're connecting to spirit, it's getting easier, your spirit guides, loved ones in spirit, things like that, you are doing it for yourself, you're connecting, you're doing oracle cards, you're doing Reiki, you're doing other things, and you are going deeper into your journey. So the deeper you heal, the less mindfuckery that you have, the easier it is to connect to spirit, to your spirit guides, to loved ones. And this is what I want people, all intuitives, starseeds, light workers, whatever it is that you call yourself. I call myself intuitive medium, psychic, all of those things. And the reality is the deeper that you go, the more that is there for you to uncover, to clear, to understand, to process. So you can really start your healing, but to really get to that next level of opportunity, of purpose, of growth, of healing, you need to make sure that you are also digging into your past lives, your Akashic records, because you need to clear things from your past lives. You need to bring forward the good, the wisdom, the knowledge. You need to reactivate your gifts and abilities. And you need to be able to clear those curses and cords and bindings and ties that you put on yourself, that others put on you. And a lot of those things in this life will come through as patterns, relationships, money, being able to be seen as a healer, being able to enhance your intuitive gifts and abilities, your healing abilities, your connection to spirit, really being able to use those gifts and abilities without fear, without worry, without judgment, really connecting to your purpose. You're starting to know what you're supposed to do, what you want to do, you're excited, but you feel those reservations, those witch wounds that we have on our soul. Because in the past, as healers, light workers, psychics, starseeds, whatever we called ourselves, there was a lot of persecution. There was a lot of punishment. There was a lot of judgment. There was a lot of hiding. There was a lot of in exchange of money, because back then in the day, we would exchange our services, our gifts, our healing for a place to stay, for food. We didn't need money as much in the past as we do today. So there's all of those things that are hidden in our soul, in our, our energetic self, that our soul has carried on for millennia, for many, 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 many lifetimes. And I want you to think about it like this. If you're on your journey, your intuitive journey, your growth, your healing, you're coming into yourself, you're connecting with spirit, you are, starting to connect with being a light worker, starseed, intuitive, psychic medium, whatever it is you call yourself. And you feel this reservation, you feel this block, you feel like, I want to do more, but this is when it's time to start hitting into your past lives, because the reality is your past lives hold so much information. They hold so much clarity. They hold a lot of, our curses and cords that we've put on ourselves, that others have put on us, that are stalling our gifts and abilities, our ability to be seen as a healer, a light worker, starseed, our ability to be paid what we deserve to be paid, our ability to connect to our true purpose, what we're supposed to be doing in this world. So, if you are on your intuitive journey, it is time to start digging deeper. So start asking spirit, what more do I need? Is it time for me to work in my past lives? Is it time for me? It's very easy to connect to past lives. For me, I'm part of a creator of the past lives. So it is very easy for me to access past lives. But the reality is, what I found and what I teach people, yes, 5/25/25 is when my past life mastery program starts. But the reality is, the deeper that you go on your intuitive journey, just start asking spirit, what do I need? Is it time for me to work in my past lives? Is it time for me to, because accessing your past lives is very simple. Knowing what to do in your past lives is where it becomes very difficult. What questions do I ask? How do I get there? What do I understand when I see them? Why am I not seeing the full life? How do I reactivate my gifts and abilities? How do I bring forward that ancient wisdom that I have or created or was a part of in the past? And the reality is, those are the things that are difficult. How do I clear those cords, those curses, those things that I put on myself, that others put on me? So that is where it is challenging in your past lives. Your past lives hold so much of who you are, because it's your soul's history. Literally, your Akashic Records is your soul's history book. So I want you to, whenever you're hearing this, whether, the class is starting or not, the reality is, when it's the right time, spirit will start pushing you for past lives. Maybe you're going to start having more dreams. When you are meditating, maybe you're flashing, I call them past life flashes. Maybe you touch an item and you start flashing to past lives. You start seeing pictures of Stonehenge or Hawaii or Lemuria or things like that. And you're just like, you just have this calling, this knowing. So those are really big signs for you to really start paying attention. Maybe you start seeing a lot of dinosaur stuff. You start seeing a lot of Stone Age or Ice Age or different things. And you're like, why am I so drawn to that? Why am I so, so really start catching on to the signs that spirit are giving you, whether it's for past lives or not. The reality is, spirit is always giving you signs. So, start exploring. I have a free meditation. You can start to access your Akashic Records, your past lives. Like I said, accessing your past lives Akashic Records is very simple. It's just really being very intentional to work in your past lives is very important. What do I need to do? What do I need to ask? What do I need to understand? How do I get there? How do I process the information? And the reality is, witnessing some of those past lives is very difficult. Whether you have been abused, you have abused others, you have murdered others, you've been murdered, that's something that I teach and help you through as well in the program, because it is very difficult, especially if you've had trauma in this life. Most of us have in some way, shape, or form. But if you need to learn how to witness those things. You need to learn how to understand and not be emotionally, and energetically destroyed when you're witnessing those things. So if you are on your journey, wherever you're at, if you're coming across this video, there is a reason. There is a difference between healing and soul, like deep, intentional soul healing. When you really are ready for that next level of healing, then the reality is that is where your past life, your Akashic Records work is very important. So, whether it's me, whether you do it yourself, it is 100%, up to you where you're at, what you feel. And I am not for everybody, and I know that. But the reality is, it's time to kind of explore your past lives. Start trying to understand, start asking spirit, like, what is this? Why am I seeing this? What am I supposed to do about it? You know, and maybe you're just starting to see it because your soul is trying to prepare you. Spirit is trying to prepare you. But ask those questions. If you ever come across my videos, my posts, whatever, and you're like, holy fuck, is that what this is? Ask those questions. You know, never ever hesitate to ask the questions. And if whoever you are following, whoever you are, you know, whatever comes across your feed and you're asking these questions and they're not answering you, or, you know, being very evasive or wanting you to pay, then the reality is you really need to make sure you're paying attention to that as well. Am I going to give you a free session or a free reading? No, I will give you insights, whatever spirit is bringing me. I will always be honest. I will always be real. But whoever you are, you know, thinking about working with, seeing, admiring in your feed, let's say it like that, really pay attention to how they respond to you. A lot of times bigger, I'm going to say bigger people who probably have a very, very large following, they very rarely do they respond to anybody personally. It's usually a VA or somebody that they pay to do the follow-up for them, you know? So, and is that a bad thing? No, it's a business thing. But the reality is anybody that you choose to work with, want to work with, aspire to work with, make sure that you are really paying attention to how you are being addressed, or even, you know, acknowledged in through comments, through Messenger, whatever it is. Because, you know, if they're giving you very little without you needing to go and pay and do all of the things, really pay attention to that, because generally that really follows through in whatever they offer as a program, as a thing. You know, a lot of people have programs that are just programs. There's no actual tie to them. It's just like a program that you do. And, you know, you should know that before you enroll or do whatever. But, you know, you should be able to reach out and ask those questions, you know, and just pay attention to whoever you're following, whatever you're doing. Really start asking spirit, is this the right person? Is this the right investment? Is this the right time? Am I going to learn what I need to learn? Am I going to get what I need to get? And a lot of times we have to go through that process too, of working with different people and having different experiences before we understand what we truly want and need too. So sometimes those lessons are brutal. I've had quite a few expensive lessons that, you know, left me more angry than it did, you know, benefit me, but it's all part of the process. So if you guys have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I hope you guys have a great week. Like I said, Akashic, Past Life Akashic Mastery Certification Program starts 5/25/25. The dates that we will have for actual calls we will decide when that program starts, because I want to make sure that everybody that is in the program can attend the calls. So I usually decide when those calls will be held when the program starts. So usually we have it like every other week because it gives you time to kind of process. But we have a Telegram group they have access to every day. Everybody gets to post what they're experiencing, what's coming up, what their questions are, whatever it is. So we have that Telegram group that we use. So you guys have a great day. The Akashic Mastery Certification, like I said, starts 5/25/25. There is a level 1 and level 2. Level 1 is for you to do all of that work for yourself, to clear, to heal, to release, to reactivate. And the level 2 is if you want to do past life Akashic work for your clients. Do you have to do that through me? No. The method is really not different, but you have that guidance, personal guidance from me through that process. Because it can be very challenging, you really need to feel comfortable doing past life work for yourself, to clear, to release, to reactivate, before you start doing that work on other people. Can you walk away from my class and do it on other people? Yes. Are you going to feel comfortable? Most likely no. You know, so level 2 of my past life program is really about guiding you through helping other people. So those are both available. Like I said, level 1 starts 5/25/25. So you guys have a great day, Monday. Here it is prepping up to storm like a movo. I'm trying to get it on hot ground. We're supposed to have some big old storms today. So I hope you guys have a great Monday. Never hesitate to reach out if you have questions. Like I said, with any of this, I'm going to go live a little bit later and talk about some starseed stuff, some big stuff that's coming through. that we're going to talk about in my membership call tonight. We're going to do a clearing because it is something big happening for starseeds and everybody in my membership. We've been doing a lot of goddess work, starseed work, moon goddess work, and tonight we're going to clear because we need to really be prepared for what's coming next week. So I hope you guys have a great Monday, and I will talk to everybody later.